All right. Once again, good morning to everyone. I apologize for a slight delay because there's seems some technical problem that maybe I face just now. But alhamdulillah, everything goes well. And I would like to wish Ramadan Karim to everyone who's actually, we are in the month of Ramadan. And today I'm going to actually share with you, it's more of like a sharing session rather than to give a lecture. Okay, basically I'm sharing my own experience as a writer and also as a reviewer for articles. And today we are going to go more specific for review article. So the title itself, Mastering Review Articles, Writing for Postgraduate, the Essential Tips and Tricks. It's basically not really a tricks, but it's more of like a advice and how actually you can strategize as a postgraduate students to publish review articles. And for your information, very much popular these days because it actually provides most of the information students or researchers. So that's why you can see most of the review articles gaining the highest citation as compared to original research articles. So this is actually the pro and also the cons of writing review articles. But of course, you know, when you write a review article, you will have, I think, to decide what will be the specific niche, what will be the specific areas that you are going to discuss or you are going to write. It cannot be too general and it cannot be, I think, too detailed as well. So I think hopefully by the end of this sharing session, you should be able to understand the flow of writing or the main philosophy of writing review articles and what will be the components needed, what will be the strategy in writing review articles. Okay, so normally whenever I give a talk, I always like to use or maybe coin a philosophy from Michael Faraday. I'm not sure, maybe some of you are coming from a science background, but Michael Faraday is basically a very known electrochemist. I think some fun facts about Michael Faraday is that he didn't receive any formal education, but eventually he works as an assistant initially and later on become world leading researchers at that particular time in the field of electrochemistry. Okay, so what actually Mark Faraday says that whenever you do research, there are three important things that you need to consider. First, how you're going to start your research. Second, how to finish the research. And third, how to disseminate, how to share, or how to publish the work. So that's why I think every time, whenever you do research, there's always a term, publish or perish. I mean, like if you don't actually disseminate the knowledge, then the research, the research work is not really a worthwhile fundings or whatsoever. So whenever we talk about publication, we have to understand what will be the motivation of publish. And when we talk specifically on publishing a review article, what is actually your motivation? What will be the interest? Of course, most of the percentage goes to for the dissemination of the knowledge, to spread the knowledge. And of course, other than that, we are talking about, career prospect. So it is important for those who actually wanted to join academia or those who already engaged with academia that in the end of the day, when you have a lot of publication, a lot of citation, you can get promoted or you can actually get hired at any research centers, universities and whatsoever. So other than that, I think publication is also important to improve fundings. Of course, your funder is very much interested to look at how many articles that you have published before, and that actually will classify whether you are the top researchers in that particular field. And some of the motivation will be related on the ego itself. Probably some researchers have their own novel findings and whatsoever, which very much different with the other conventional research that have been done. Then this could be one of. Apart from that, it will be related to protection and some other things. So writing a review article or research article can be a daunting. So at best, you will publish, or at worst, you will not going to publish your articles. So today, I mean, I'm going to explain to you how you actually can write a proper review article, I mean, related to research findings, which eventually will have a more citation, or people who are working in this particular field will actually download and will read your review articles. Right. So before that, I think we need to understand, I think the concept of maybe submission, peer review, and whatnot before we actually strategize on writing a review articles. So as a student or even as a researchers, we actually categorize ourselves as an author. At the same time, we actually categorize ourselves as a reader. So you read articles in order for you to propose the work and whatsoever. But at the same time, after you have produced some data, okay, you are going to write some report, you are going to write some articles and whatsoever, then you will be the author. So as an author, we're always concerned about quality and also the speed. So quality here actually means that the quality of the journals that you are targeting. Okay, so whenever you are writing research article or review article, it is important to know where does this article will be published. Okay, if you choose a correct, audience, the correct journals, then your article will be highly downloaded or will be highly cited. But if you choose a wrong audience, meaning that you publish in multidiscipline journals or whatnot, then you can expect very less citation, very less download and whatnot. Okay, and other things, when we talk about publication, is always related to the speed. Whenever you send to a journal, okay, whether your article will be published as soon as possible, or maybe it will take at least 1 year or at least 2 years after accepted to be published. This is also some other things that you need to understand. So my advice to some of you who actually have some intention of writing research article or review article, you should actually target which journal that you are going to submit. And to know which journal that you should target, you should know the best, because you actually work in this particular area and you actually read some of the references. And some of these references actually published in a very good journals. You can see, I mean, for those who are actually working in the field of maybe like myself, I'm actually a corrosion chemist. So I would say that maybe corrosion science is the top journal, or probably electrochemical acta is the top journal. Then this will be one of your priority. You can actually go to this specific journal and then you can see. Okay, for example, if you go to Science Direct, you go to any recent articles published in 2025, you'll see part of the information in the article, it will mention date of submission and date of accepted and date published online. So here actually will give you some indication whether that journal is basically a fast publishing journals or not. So if let's say that the articles that you actually open, they submit in January, and then it it is actually accepted in February the same year and published a few days after accepted. Then you know that this journal actually having a very high number of volumes, it can actually publish fast. But you will also see some journals date of submission maybe 1 or 2 years before that. Okay, accepted maybe quite soon, but published it takes like maybe 1 year or a few months. Then this journal may be something that you put aside, or maybe you reconsider whether to send or not. Okay, so when we talk about quality and speed, it is always related with referring speed, referring standards, and also the journal reputation. Always know that whenever you want to send, is it going to be WOS, Web of Science cited journal, or Scopus cited, or maybe ERA or my site level. Okay, so all these actually will give impact to your citation or the numbers of downloads of your articles. Okay, so other than that will be related on the editorial board. Okay, because some journals, their editorial board is a renowned scientist or a renowned researchers in your field. So it is actually important to know that, as I mentioned earlier, you choose the correct crowd or the correct audience for your article, so that the articles will be published. Either it can be a original research article or review article. It is actually impactful and also high quality. So when we actually talking about researchers, I told you that researchers can be author or can be reader. So there is a different dichotomy between authors and also readers' behavior. So as a reader, okay, as a student yourself, do you like to read? You can ask yourself. Okay, you normally read less. Okay, I can actually observe from, I think, students who work under me, or probably the other students, examiners or what, they the same reference from the same group, or probably like if let's say that your supervisor, and you're referring to your supervisor's research, you read his or her thesis, and then you see there's some reference, and you use the same reference every time, I think, in your thesis or in your publication. So over and over. So as a reader, their thinking, the way of their thinking is that they want to get the exact information, but at the same time, they want to read less. Okay? And where does all this information can be obtained? So most of this information, if you actually get it from an original research article, then you will get a small piece of it. Okay. For example, for this analysis, you will get from this journal or from this article. For this analysis, you get from a different article or different journals, and then later on you combine the readings. But everything can actually be obtained at one particular article, which is the review article. So most of the review article will be a very comprehensive review that all the information needed can be obtained. So that's why I think for today's talk, I actually, not to say want to encourage, but I want you to have a positive perspective on review article. Maybe it sounds difficult to write, but it will actually give you more information. The readers, okay, especially, will gain the benefits after they read your review article, because they will actually use one article, but all information can be obtained over there. Okay, so it is important for you to understand this behavior first. But as an author, okay, as an author ourselves, we want to publish more. Okay, not enough with one article. You always wanted to publish as much as you can. Okay, whatever data, whatever results that you produce, you want to publish as much or as many as you probably can do. Okay, so these are actually a different way of thinking between authors and also readers. So another thing, that the reader is always prioritized, okay, is that the article should be easy access. You can easily obtain the articles. When you talk to a researcher, especially in the third world countries or what, they will have difficulties in accessing some research article or review articles. Because in order to obtain this, some journals need subscription. And the subscription, for example, like Science Direct, it is not cheap. It is very much expensive. I can tell you for USM itself, we spend like a few millions ringgit just to pay for the subscription. Okay, although these days you can see like Science Hub, okay, available. That could be your savior, but Science Hub cannot provide you the most recent article. This is actually the disadvantages. Probably older articles you can get it, but some recent article which just published maybe a few months ago, you cannot get it through Science Hub. Okay, so other than that, I think some articles these days, they are very famous using the term open access. Okay, open access meaning that when you submit the article, you have to pay the article publication charge. Okay, but in the end of the day, your article can be accessed openly. People from different countries, regardless if they actually are third world countries or low income countries or whatsoever, or high income, they still can actually download your articles. For example, publisher like MDPI, you'll see that you can actually access the article free, okay, without any payment or whatsoever. But you can also ask the author how much they spend. I mean, in order to pay the publication charge or whatsoever. So it's not cheap. A few thousand Swiss franc, which you convert into ringgit, can be more than 15,000 or something like that. So for authors also, you need to think whether you want to send to a paid journal or non-paid journal. This is also another things that to be considered. Ease of access, as I said, is important for readers. Rapid delivery is also other things, whether you can get all the information, all the article easily, convenient format. I've actually have explained this before, but let me just, I think, summarize a bit about the authors and also readers' philosophy, way of their thinking. So for authors, as I said, you want to publish more. So you are more journal oriented. You target which journal that you want to publish. Okay. But for readers, you are more article focused. Let's say that you want to do RSM, okay, or SPSS, okay, modeling or whatsoever. So you don't care which journal. You just Google the keywords, whatever come out, either is actually from a non-Scopus or Scopus cited WOS or non-WOS, you will use this article as your reference. This is actually the way how the readers are actually thinking. But as I said, for authors, normally you target which journal that you want to submit. Of course, some of the authors will aim for quartile, higher quartile, Q1, Q2, or whatsoever, to ensure that your publication is impactful or more quality. But don't think that every time you submit into a Q1 or Q2 articles, will always, I mean, tell you that, oh, your research is actually very much impactful, or your review article is always impactful or whatsoever. I mean, even though you publish in Q1, Q2, the most important thing is that how much or how many people actually cite your work. This is actually the indicator to know whether your published work is actually a good article or not. Okay, so I actually have covered this a little bit, but probably we can move on to how you actually want to decide whenever you have some data, whenever you have some summary of a previous reports or whatsoever, or review that you have, literature review that you have done, what you want to do with it. Okay, so before submitting article, you should actually decide, or you should actually think what should be published. Okay, either it's going to be a full report, okay, or it's just a simple write-up, or it can be a very thorough literature review or something like that. So this could be important because you want to know what will be the content of your publication. And then choosing the right forum, okay? What or which type of journals is best for you? If let's say that you are talking about modeling or maybe some specific maybe area, then you should actually search for a specific journals which actually cater to this area. Otherwise, as I mentioned, if you send it to maybe journals of science and mathematics or whatsoever, it sounds more, how to say, multidiscipline. Then I think maybe the audience or the readers that read your article could be from a different background. You can expect less citation or less downloads from there. Okay, so what audience you are targeting? As I mentioned earlier, the decision at which journal that you want to submit is important. It's essentially important to know who going to read your articles. Okay, all right. And finally, we'll be looking at the journal itself. Okay, after you have targeted the journals, you can actually read the guidelines. Whether the guidelines is actually easy for you to do. Okay, most of the guidelines available is actually quite standardized. So, but some journals are different. I think like previously, some journals for abstract, even abstract, they actually split. Okay, you should have introduction, you should have a methodology, you should have result discussion and whatsoever. These are all actually for abstract, but they separate it. So you should actually look at the style, the guidelines, everything, and some other information is whether that journal impose article publication charge or not. So this is also important because like if you don't have a budget, if you don't have a funding, then you cannot, I mean like maybe think like how you are going to pay if let's say that your article will be accepted. Okay, so paper publication process will be something like this. Okay, once you have the data, once you have the literature review or whatsoever, or once you have completed your research, you will prepare a manuscript. So as I said, it can be either research article or review article. It depends on the content or whatever you have, the data you have. Then after you have actually prepared the manuscript, okay, you will actually look at which journal that you are targeted, okay, and you create an account, you submit the articles, you upload everything in the portal, and you will actually receive email notification saying that the journal will consider your article to be reviewed. At best, maybe within a few days or a few hours, you will receive email from editor. They assign your articles with a number and then saying that your article will be under review. At worst, within few hours, maybe after you submit, within 30 minutes, for example, you receive an email that the editor reject your review article or your research article with certain reason or most of the time without reason. Okay, so then after your article been submitted, okay, and reviewed, as I said, the first decision will come out. And if let's say that the article is under review and you will receive, I think, comments from a reviewer, whether your article will be rejected or will be suggested for revision. Okay, so of course, if let's say that it goes under revision, then you need to revise your article and then you will resend your revised manuscript or your revised review article before finally acceptance and also publication. So all these are actually the flow. Overall, I think from the start of a manuscript preparation or submission until publication, it will take like around 6 months or something like that. On average, around 6 months. until publication. That will be on average. You can actually see some people actually they prepare or maybe submit the article and after like 1 or 2 months, the article can be accepted or published. So this is actually, I think, the best. Right. So for journals rejection, as I mentioned earlier, there are some cases. I mean, like why your article is being rejected. So this information actually I obtained from Scopus. You can actually probably see the higher percentage of rejection actually come from a poor methodology. So if we are talking about research article, the most I think percentage is actually because of a poor methodology. There is no, I mean, like supportive analysis or whatsoever. And then other than that, it will be related to no new information. These are, we are talking about novelty, okay? So probably it's just a repetition. You just change the material or whatsoever, but the methods, everything is well established. So not much information, then the editor or the team will think that it's not really new, then they will reject it. So some other things will be related to poor scientific contents and whatsoever. You'll be surprised to see that plagiarism will have maybe a lower percentage there. Why? Because when you submit the article, they will actually do their own or maybe preliminary technical check or similarity check using Turnitin or whatever software. So the best is that whenever you send your draft, make sure that you have done the Turnitin check and make sure also that the similarity percentage is below than 20%. Okay. Otherwise, if you send, you will know that part of the rejection, they will say that the similarity is high. They wouldn't tell the value, but they also do their similarity check before submitting your articles for review. Then if it is higher than maybe 20 or 25, they will immediately reject it. So journal will always find a way to reject articles, okay? Because you can imagine every day for each journal, they will receive thousands of articles every day, and they have to process it, okay? So they always think that the best way is they screen down whatever I think or whichever articles that didn't follow their guidelines have a higher similarity percentage or not novel, they will actually reject it as soon as possible so that they will refine and then proceed the best one for review process or whatsoever. Okay. So for articles to be published, it actually have categorized into different types. I think maybe you already know about this, but for those who don't know, I just wanted to tell you, there are different types of articles that you can publish. The first one or the most common one is original research article. Okay, it comes from research activity. You have done research, it will give you a data, you publish the work. So this is actually the original research article with normally more than 5,000 words. Some journals actually limit the words number. And this is actually equivalent to 20 pages with double spacing. Okay. And the second type will be review articles. We are going to talk about review article, but what is actually review article? It is actually a summary or thorough literature review on a recent topic or a very specific topic with a minimum number of reference, 100. Okay, my own experience, some of my review article is actually having more than that. And we are talking about working with reference over 300 numbers. You can imagine the list of references at the end of the page will be very lengthy, a lot of references. So as a writer, you want to write a review article, you have to understand that you will use a lot of references whenever you want to write review articles. So it cannot be like less than 50 or less than 20 references, then you consider this as a review article. Of course, you will receive immediate rejection after that. Okay, so good thing about a review article is that there is no limit of page, and there's no limit of, maybe if you want to reproduce the figures or the tables from the previous work to be embedded in your review article, they wouldn't have a restrictions on that. Okay, and furthermore, I think some review article, if you want to submit, it will need permission first from the publisher or from the journal itself. If let's say that you want to send to maybe one particular journal, you should actually communicate with the editor, and if it actually requires permission. If not, I think maybe some or most of the journals, they will have I think the articles type which they can choose, review, and you can send without any permission from the editor. It will be processed as normal articles. And some other things that I would like to share about review article is that when you submit the review article, if let's say that you are expecting comments from a reviewer, the comments wouldn't be too technical. Technical in the sense that when you send a research article, they will comment on your data and whatsoever. But review article, most of the comment is actually on the flow of your review article, not, I think, the data or whatsoever, because the review article is actually the summarized information or summarized data or whatsoever to be included in the review. So they wouldn't actually touch on the data. The reviewer wouldn't touch. But normally they will look into the scope of the review and the flow or the storyline of the review article. So very much less, I think, in comment compared to research article comments. Right. So moving on, there's also like short communication types. So for short communication, it will actually discuss only one parameters, for example, effect of pH, effect of concentration, okay? Because short communications normally will have a limit of words, not more than 3,000 words, with not more than 3 figures and tables. So you can imagine how thin the article is. And how to know whether the journal is actually publishing short communication. You will see that the journal name itself, they will actually say communications. Okay, like for example, from my field, it will mention electrochemistry, communications, materials, letters, anything that deals with letters or communication. You know that all these are basically a short communication articles to be published, a short discussion. Okay, and other things will be related to chapters in books. Normally, chapter in book will be a special topics with no page limit, of course. Okay, and proceedings. Okay, and proceedings is normally a short article published as a supplementary articles whenever that person joins or attending conference. So some of the conference these days, or most of them, actually publish their proceedings. So you write the proceedings, okay, and then it can be published in a journal, in a specific journals or whatsoever. So this, we call it a proceeding publication. And finally, you can also have correspondence or addendum. Have you ever imagined whenever there is a published article, but it has some mistake, some errors? Probably those who are working on mathematics or physics, you will see that the equation or the theory behind it is actually a wrong formula or whatsoever, but it's already published. You cannot actually withdraw the articles once it's published, okay? Unless it has like some ethical issue or whatsoever, then only it will be withdrawn. But normally, if you have like maybe some certain facts or whatsoever, you will actually see that there is a researchers who will write to the editor commenting on the previous work, commenting probably from your article, you have some mistake there. They will actually provide some information, you provide some references, and the editor will forward this to you to respond, and your response will be published as a supplementary to the previous publication. So this one, we call it as a correspondence or addendum publication. So it will highlight the mistakes in the articles. Normally, if you read this, it's just only one page and just addressing the comments from the reporter who actually reports on the mistake or whatsoever. Okay, so this is basically the overview of peer reviewing process. I've gone through this, I think, in terms of the details, but this is basically the flow. You will see that paper being submitted. So there will be initial decision by the editor. If let's say that you didn't actually follow the guidelines, that is a high percent of similarity, it will be rejected. Or if the scope or the area is not fit well to the journals, they also will reject it. Okay, so otherwise it will actually be sent to review. Okay, so the editor will actually invite reviewers, and normally the duration to review article will be only 2 weeks, not more than that. Okay, so it is a totally nonsense if let's say that your articles basically will require more than 6 months or more than 1 year. Totally nonsense, because the reviewer is actually given only 2 weeks to complete their task. Okay, and as a person or as an author who submit the article, you have your rights to follow up the progress. If let's say that it's already more than 1 month after submission, you can actually write the email. If you submit through online, you can go log into your own account. There will be one part where you can send email because it will link to the receipt number of your submission. You can ask the editor what's the progress, okay, or what actually happens. If let's say that your article is already more than 6 months, is something that you have to consider. You should actually follow up the editor what is actually the progress. So after the reviewer have reviewed the articles, they will write the report and then they will send to the editor again. So the editor will actually send back to the authors and also decide whether it will be a revision, accept as it is, or reject. So if let's say that it is a revision, then you will address the comments, and you have to prepare one document that you call it as response to reviewers' comment. Okay, and here you will write all the queries from the reviewer, and then you will write your response or your reply. Okay, and finally, if let's say that your revision will be sent back to the reviewer, the same reviewer, they will check, and if they agree, they will actually accept. Or if they don't agree, you will undergo another revision. Okay, my own experience, I have undergone multiple revision. There's one journal, I think we sent it. It actually the reviewer didn't want to reject, but they want to satisfy themselves. Satisfy saying that whatever they comment, whether you agree or not, you have to accept it. So we have no choice to agree with the reviewer, and then only they will accept. Okay, so remember again, as I told you, publication, the motivation sometimes will be related to ego. So this is also part of the situation. Okay, so after it is accepted, then it will be sent to the publication team. Then you will receive proof and whatnot. Later you will see that your article will be appear online. So you also hear what does it? I mean, like peer review. But what is actually peer review? So peer review is basically a process, reviewing process done by researcher, okay, to researchers, something like that. Okay, so your article will not going to be reviewed by lawyers, fishermen, farmers, or what. I always give this logical way of thinking to my student. I would say that peer review means that it is your peer, your colleagues, and not really colleagues, but the scientist people who actually will review it. So it's not going to be non-scientists or non-researchers who are going to review your article. So the purpose is, of course, to filter and publish what is considered as science, and if it is actually from arts, and what is actually considered as arts, and to provide researchers with some perspective. And normally for peer review is commonly used for scientific publication, grant review, and also tenure promotion. So I have also mentioned about this process. I think after initial submission, you will receive initial decision whether it will be review or reject. Okay, and the editor will appoint at least 2 referees. There will be some components whenever you want to submit your articles, research article or review article, which is actually a cover letter. And in the cover letter, sometimes you have to propose reviewers from your own field. It cannot be from the same group. It must be from different university, different institution, different groups. Okay, but not every time that the editor will use the reviewer that you propose. Most of the time, they already have the pool of reviewers, which they know, okay, your article is on this area. We already have experts in the pool, so they will send to them. Okay, all right. So if you ask me, I mean, as a student, you as a student, how actually you can become a reviewer? Okay, so sometimes when you submit articles, you create the account, they will ask you whether you are available to become a reviewer, yes or no. So if you click yes, then occasionally, I think the editor will send you an invitation to review article and whatnot. Okay, and this only happen if you submit your article. If let's say that you are the corresponding authors, okay. But if you are not the corresponding authors, maybe the information from your papers, you put your email address or whatsoever, then the editor will take up this, and then they will send to your email. I mean, to invite you to review article or whatsoever. Sometimes it happens. I mean, like PhD students receive, invitation to review article and whatnot. Okay, and if you ask me whether to accept or not, why not? It is actually good for your CV, and if you actually have the experience, but you cannot actually review something that you are not in the field. So if it is not related, reject it. Okay, right. So the reference speeds vary tremendously between journals. As I mentioned earlier, you have to search the journal first and whatnot. So the decision can be either accept with revision, or reject. Okay. After rejection, normally you will receive some comments why they reject it. Okay. If let's say it undergoes revision, but the final decision is rejected, then you should actually read carefully what is actually the reason of rejection. There's a few experience whereby three reviewers, okay, maybe 2 reviewers actually agree to basically there will be 2 reviewers that basically agree to accept with revision, but one actually rejected. I saw some comments saying that they cannot hear a sound. Can you hear a sound? If yes, can give a thumbs up. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So clear. All right. Thank you very much. Maybe that person have a connection problem. Okay. But if you cannot hear my voice or anything, you cannot see the display or whatsoever, just tell in the chat room. I mean, like I will find the main course. Okay. All right. Yeah. If you want to go for a toilet break, you are free to go. No one wants to stop you. Just go, and then you can come back. I will continue. All right. So as I mentioned, there's a situation whereby the editor will assign 3 reviewers. 2 actually suggest for acceptance. 1 actually suggests for rejection. And most of the time, the editor will take the decision from the last reviewer. It seems that your article can be rejected, although maybe majority of the reviewer actually agree to accept articles with revision and whatnot. But there's also a situation whereby from 3 reviewer, 2 actually decide to reject. 1 actually decide to accept with revision. But the editor may be also a person who are expert in this area, read through your article and say that, we shouldn't reject this article. Then there's also possibility whereby although majority of the reviewer suggest for rejection, only 1 actually accepted, then the editor will accept it with revision or whatnot. So in the end of the day, the person that will decide whether to accept or to reject is the editor himself or herself. Okay, so yeah, sometimes the editor will follow whatever decision from the reviewer, but sometimes the editor who could be an expert in this particular area will also decide. Although maybe majority of the reviewer say that it should be rejected, something like that. Okay, because we are human, so sometimes the decision can be different. Right, so I mentioned that publication process normally will take like around 6 to 12 months. Okay, so in order for you to understand, I've actually tell you that the overall reviewing process should be around this time. I guess maybe 12 months is already considered long. Okay, so again, as I mentioned, if let's say that you already submit your article, either a review article or research article, it's already more than 1 month or more than 2 months, 3 months, 6 months without any news, you can actually follow up. You can write, send email to editor, ask what is the current status of your publication. Okay, so now we are going slowly, specifically goes into review article. Okay, so why you want to publish review article? To me, I mean, like whenever I told my student, okay, you should write this. Okay, review. Then they say, is it possible for me to write a review article? Then I will say, why not? Okay, so you can see from this statistic, I always tell you that, or my students that the impact, I mean, how you actually measure the impact of the articles whenever you submit is that the numbers of citation, how much people actually read or cite your article. This actually will tell you the article itself is very much impactful. Although you will see that maybe some number of citation can become from original article, but very less if you are lucky. If you are lucky, maybe your research is very novel. It is probably like Nobel Prize research or something like that. Then you will have like high citation for original research article. But if not, the best way is basically obtain higher citation through review article. You will see that if you write an article, the number of citation will be high. I will share you later on. Current trend shows article has a good demand. Okay, review article has a good demand by the scientific or by the research community. Okay, because remember I told you earlier that readers always want to read less. They want to read or want to get all the information from one article, 1 or 2 articles. So the best is actually they obtain it from review articles. Okay, so this is just to share. I mean, like this is not something to be proud of, but you can actually check some of the researchers' profile. And for example, this is actually my Google Scholars profile, because Google Scholar also can provide like numbers of citation and whatsoever. You can also search from Scopus as well. Okay, you'll see that, for example, like this one from my own, the first top 10, because this one I categorize based on number of citation, not based on the year of publication. You see that most of the articles I put arrow over there. Okay, articles that I have published that receiving highest citation is actually review article. You can actually tell from the title itself. Recent progress. Okay, from fundamentals to application. You cannot always write your title review of something like that, because it's very very boring. So yeah, maybe you just write something, maybe your fundamental concept or something like that, that people will appreciate. And then if you have something in general, like for example, I talk about lignin, it's a type of wire polymer, then people will always like to go for this. If you are working on nano material or nano something, so if you actually make a review on this particular material, then you know that people are mostly interested to write or to read or to cite your work. Okay, so you will actually heard of top 2% researchers in the world under the category impact. At Stanford University, every year Stanford University make this survey and they actually publish this report, and this report actually published through Scopus. So I think, like for example, USM, every year we have like top researchers that their name is actually categorized under top 2% researchers with high citation and whatnot. So you can see that most of them actually have higher citation. Not, I would say maybe most of them actually have higher citation because of review article. So this actually tell you the impact of publishing review articles, rather than if you just concentrate only on original research article. I don't say that you should publish a review article, but it will actually give the add values to the researcher's profile in the end of the day. Okay, so in order to write review articles, what would be the component of review articles? Of course, you will need title, but the review article title should be very specific on the interest area of subject and in the scope. If let's say that you want to tell about the process, okay, let's say just now we are talking about nanolignin, nanocellulose or whatsoever, then you know that this material actually can be produced or can be characterized using different tools, using different process. And it will be a good review if you actually can compare all these methods. You have some different techniques, different tools that people use, then you know that in the end of the day, people will look or your review because they find it interesting, because you make comparison and you also summarizing inside. Okay, so they will find it more. They read your review articles and later we'll see whether that technique or that particular technique or data is actually useful for their research, and they will go specifically. Okay, right. So for review articles, the title also play an important role. But now I think you have ChatGPT, but you should use ChatGPT wisely. They can actually suggest you a proper title, okay, in order to make the audience interested or attracted to your review articles. So keywords also play an important role. Make sure that the types of keywords that you use is also coming from your title and also from your content, okay, maybe some techniques or the material itself or whatsoever, okay. And abstract. So normally when you write research article, I think I saw some question. They say, "Oh, no discussion." Of course, there's no discussion. What kind of discussion you want to write for review articles? Okay, it's more mostly like a reviewing. Summarizing the works. So you wouldn't see any like discussion. You want to discuss something that already publishes. Not fair. So then I think the content of the way how you write the abstract, the way how you write the introduction and conclusion, it should be general. It cannot be similar like when you write research article, because you write a research article, you have data. You have data, you have like something that you want to discuss, you want to highlight or whatsoever. Okay, and yeah, probably something that will make people understand that this is actually a general compilation of work or whatsoever. Okay, so general summary of the reviewing work. Okay, I saw someone ask no objective. Of course, the objective you are not going to tell like objective of like as I said like in the research article, but the purpose of I mean like summarizing the work. Maybe if you say that the main purpose is to have a comprehensive comparison between different techniques or whatsoever, then this is actually the objective of the review articles. So it's not like you want to optimize something or whatsoever. Similarly, like when you do research articles. Okay, right. So introduction, the content of the introduction should have the basic concept. Okay, the basic concept about the materials or the process or tools that you are going to review. Okay, so you can actually elaborate it. You can actually put the previous work or whatsoever. And it is good as well if you put some statistic. Statistic here, it means that when you talk about something, those who are actually from sciences, maybe you've heard about graphene, graphene oxide, graphene or whatsoever. Okay, then you know that this material is considered a new material, although maybe it's already like more than 10 years, but it is still considered new. Then you can actually put a statistic. You can actually create your own statistic from Google Scholar or maybe Scopus, whereby if you type in graphene, for example, they can actually tell you the numbers of publication for different years. So you can actually put a statistic in your introduction, research numbers of paper published for graphene. You will see from maybe 10 years back. Now it's 2025 and 2015 is the number until 2024 or something like that. If the numbers is actually projecting increase in trend, then you know that it has a demand. The material or the research itself have a demand. Then it is good as well, or it is a worthwhile work to actually make a review on this material or whatsoever. You can also implement some concern of recent developments or recent technique, advancement of process, advancements of tools that they do, I mean, for this material or for this research. So after the introduction, you can put the specific content. So it's not like methodology, have research discussion and whatnot. No. If you have time, try to read few examples of review articles. You will see that after they write the introduction, they will write the specific content. Okay, maybe just now I talk about graphene. So you will see that the specific content, they will talk about graphene, graphene oxide, reduced graphene oxide, something like that. So they actually discuss in detail what is the fundamental concept, okay, about this material, the structure, the properties, okay, the review about techniques that they use to prepare or something like that. Okay, if you have like, because from a chemistry point of view, you have like chemical process, I mean like a physical process or something like that, which you can actually summarize or you can compare. Okay, some possible applications and whatnot. Okay, so for a review article, sometimes if you are talking about one type of material, it is good also if you actually have some possible or current application that people have done. So it gives like a more, I think, detailed perspective about this material. I mean, a possibility where it can be used in the future. Okay, right. So other than that will be conclusion, a short remarks about the research or the subject, and then you have references. Okay, sufficient references that must be up to date. Mostly the recent 5 years, recent 3 years, or something like that. At least you should have enough number of references. I think not less than 50 lah. I think normally if you have like hundreds, If you have 100 over, then it will be good, because I think the editor will think that you have done a thorough research, a thorough review, literature review, in order for you to compress it to make it into review article. I always talk to my students that making review article is like making a fruit juice, mixed fruit juice. If you mix it correctly, it will taste good. If you actually mix it wrongly, it will taste bad. Okay, and writing maybe original research article is like preparing one type of fruit juice, maybe watermelon juice only. But to actually make a mixed fruit juice, okay, it is very much tricky. You have to add in maybe a sweet taste, sour taste a bit, okay, not a weird taste. Okay, you can consider if you actually mix like maybe berries, then mangoes, and suddenly you put durian inside, it will taste awful. Then you can actually think, if let's say that you put a wrong information in your review articles or something that is not, then the review will look bad, or like not connected, something like that. Okay, so other things will be related to figures and tables. So in the reviews article, so there will be figures and tables. It's good. I mean, like if you put all this, but it is not from your current work. It is actually from previous work. Okay, which you will actually put the images, maybe spectroscopy or maybe some micrograph of a previous work or something like that. But of course, whenever you want to reproduce the figures and also the tables, you will need a permission from the publisher before you submit the review articles. Okay, so how to get a permission later on, if you have some difficulties on this, I will explain it in detail later on. But in every publisher, they will have a form to ask permission when you want to reproduce. For example, the article actually published in Corrosion Science Journal, and it is actually published under Science Direct. So you can go to Science Direct, page. If you are not sure, you go to Google and then you just write in article permission or something like that, Elsevier, for example. Then there will be a form, online form. It's an online form that they will ask you the details about the articles that you want to cite or you want to reproduce in your review article. You will give the details, and then they will ask you the title, the proposed title of your review or something like that, where to be sent, and then it will take like maybe a few weeks to get accepted. Normally, if you actually take, you want to ask permission from journals, they wouldn't charge you. But if let's say that you want to take or you want to reproduce figures or tables from books, because this is also my own experience. I actually reproduce figures or tables from a book chapter or from a book. The publisher actually imposed charge. I think at that time they charged me one table $120, something like that. Only one figure. Then we don't have option. We have to pay. But I think later, lesson learned. Whenever we want to like reproduce figures or tables, we just actually take it from articles from journals, not from books or whatsoever. Okay, all right. So tables, normally what you will reproduce is the own table published from the paper. But for review article, it is best if you can actually construct your own tables. For example, you want to compare. As I mentioned, your review article could be a comparison, a comprehensive comparison between different process. So you can actually make your own tables. It's like doing literature review tables, and then you can actually put the methods or the technique that is been used by other authors or whatsoever, and their findings. So this one wouldn't need any permission, because you actually do your own, construct your own tables, right? Okay, so For writing a review articles, it's normally can be difficult because if you write it in solo, maybe you are the one who will do the writings and everything. But sometimes there's a trick. I mean, like whereby you can actually write it at a very fast time. So normally, what I think like my group did is that we write together with another group. Or if, for example, you are a student and you are working with one type of supervisor, and the other student is also working in the same area, so you can team up. Okay, you can team up to form a group. Okay, to write the article. So you divide the burden, the content. Who should responsible on writing this part? Who should responsible on writing the other part or whatsoever? And later you merge. Okay, so this will actually make the writing time become faster. Okay, I told you that a review article is normally reviewed in the shorter time. So if you submit your review article within one month, you will receive comments, and the comment is very general. It's normally like talking about the storyline or the content of your review. Okay, so what would be the key to initiate a review article writing? If you are a slow writer or if you are a single writer, okay, try to collaborate and form a team. Okay, but make sure that everything, if let's say that you want to collaborate with someone or whatsoever, make sure that your supervisor know about this. Or like, for example, in my case, normally I should be the one who moderate. I mean, like I invite another group to write or whatsoever. So my student actually write one part, and then the other students from another group overseas or whatsoever, they will write another part. So later we combine and whatsoever. So there should be someone who coordinating this. If let's say that you want to make a team, okay. But if you think that yourself, you can do everything, okay, you can go ahead. I mean, like, and I wish you all the best because, as I said, writing a review article will require a lot of hard work. I mean, like, read, review. I mean, like references and whatsoever. Article, the answer is yes. Okay, so you see that some of the review articles, actually, the first author is actually my student from my group or whatsoever. They actually, I mean, if you have a review article, it will help you in your thesis writing as well, because it will complement your literature review, your chapter 2. You already have something, you already have the content already there. Okay, all right. So things that you need to consider before writing a review article: you should choose a specific topic. So this is very much important. You should understand that review article cannot be too general, too broad. It must be narrow. It should have a niche, its own niche. The scope of review shouldn't be too large. Okay, and then you target a specific journals. So you look up, okay, the guidelines for article submission, and some journals will need permission. I've talked about this before. And then set out a teams for a fast writing. Okay, teamwork will always work. Okay, but as I said, there's also no harm for someone who actually wanted to write a review article. I mean, like in solo, right? There's no harm. You are free to write, but at the same time, as I mentioned, there's a lot of hard work. But if you think that you can do that, that's good. Okay, draft the content of your review articles. So whenever you want to start writing a review article, it is best if you construct table of content, what you want to discuss. You construct the table of content, and later you have a picture. Okay, the content, the overall content of your review article. So it is not you already started writing, and then later you think you want to add on this or whatsoever. So as I said, when you actually have the table of content, it is good, because before any writing start, it can be the table of content can be reviewed. You can actually send to your supervisor, so your supervisor can say, okay, maybe you should add on this subtopic also, or you should actually cover this part or whatsoever. Then you know it'll be easier for you to find the content or whatsoever. Once you have the table of content, it will be your guide. Okay, so get the permission if you are reproducing any figures. I've told earlier that if you take any figures from a journal, you can actually obtain the online permission, okay, from the publisher, and then start dividing the writing task. If let's say that you are writing in a team, so once you have the table of content, you divide which part will be wrote by someone or whatsoever. So writing a review article is also best if you can set a deadline. Okay, it's like making a project, a small project. So you set a deadline, then you know how much you can progress. Okay, so the most tricky part is that if you work in a team, is that if you want to merge all the write-up part, because some write-up, if let's say that they didn't follow the guidelines or whatsoever, so it will be haywire. And then at the same time, if let's say that you want to match the storyline, so the previous work, the previous write-up, you want to be the second write from another team or whatsoever. Okay, and finally, once you have divided all the tasks or whatsoever, you can execute. So the simple flow, I actually make this 4 simple steps in order for you to construct a review article or whatsoever. So first, you can actually propose a title. Once you identify the scope or the area that you want to cover for your review, so you can propose a title. And then if let's say that you want to make a team for writing a review article, so you can identify who's your co-authors. Okay. Another thing is that let's say, I told you, if let's say that you are a slow writer, okay, and maybe you are communicating, or your supervisor communicating with another group overseas, right? So you can actually propose, or your supervisor can propose to another team that we can write a review article together, and then we will start to, divide the work or whatsoever. Then this will be impactful because your review article not only affiliated from USM, but also joint published with another university, international university, which is actually good. It is for your visibility as well, because if let's say that you cannot do research together with this group, for example, from Japan, from UK, from France, or whatsoever, if they actually have a common interest, let's say the area that you are working is similar, then you can actually collaborate this way. Like producing a review articles. Then it will be high chance, because sometimes when you submit articles, if it is actually affiliated with a few university internationally, let's say that you write a review article, another team, another affiliation, not only from USN, another one is actually from MIT, then you know that the editor or the publisher will look serious on this. I say, oh, okay, maybe this one is actually written together by renowned scientists or researchers. Then they will actually, consider, maybe can consider your review article and whatsoever. Okay. So after you have identified the co-authors, let's say that you are working in a team, okay, so you can actually target the journals. Okay. Targeting journal is important because you want to see the guidelines, because different journal will have different way of referencing, different ways of writing, different limits of words or whatsoever. Then you can actually make table of content, and then you can divide the writing task. So writing the part, make sure that you didn't overlap each other. Okay, they actually understand they have to cover this part, you should cover the other part or whatsoever, and set a deadline for this. Okay, so another step after the deadline of writing have been ended, okay, you will merge, okay, the different parts. This one actually will be done by the coordinator, assisted. If let's say that the student themselves is actually the who actually coordinate this, so you will actually merge everything. And then if let's say that there would be a figures or table that requires a permission, so you actually apply this permission before you submit. You cannot actually apply the permission after it has been accepted or after it has been published, because otherwise you will be taken into legal action. Okay, so remember that whenever you have this tables and figures reproduced, get the permission before you submit the articles. So step 4, okay, submission to the journal, and if you are fortunate, then you will receive a revision, and finally publication. All right, so there's some examples. I mean, like strategies that I did together. Content. So it is actually the structure, and then we invite researchers who are actually interested to contribute on different parts. And then after you have like contribute, then you set a deadline. You see that from this email, a first draft can be, is expected to be submitted by 20th of December or something like that. Then you know that, okay, you will have everything in order, and after that, you will refine it. Okay. So what happened after that is that after the article been submitted, it is actually accepted, and you'll see that I think how much it has been improved. So this example is one of the articles that from my group that has a higher citation. So this one is actually published in 2020. So we wrote it during COVID time, okay, because we have a lot of free times, 2019. So and then during COVID, we just write everything and then combine, and until now, after almost 5 years, the article one of the top 2 articles that have a highest. Okay, so there's of tables content, how you can actually prepare the table of content. So because I'm coming from science background, so this is actually an example. I think maybe the crowd today, maybe most of you or some of you are actually coming from arts or non-sciences. But I think the flow or the concept or the idea is all, almost similar. Okay, for example, this is one of the review article which we have published in 2016. This is actually the table of content. You'll see that there will be some introduction, okay, and then we go specifically, okay. So, like for example, I'm talking about cellulose, and I tell different types of cellulose. Like for example, you have a microcrystal cellulose, and then how actually you can actually isolate. What will be different techniques, different process to isolate microcrystal cellulose, and then after that. Mechanism and techniques to characterize microcrystal cellulose. So for here, here you'll see that one author is actually taking care on the fundamental part. Another author is actually taking care on the characterization part, or maybe a proofing part. And then another authors will take care on the application part. Okay, so from here you will have a very good review, which actually cover not only the fundamental part, but also part and also the application part. Okay, all right. So there's some examples for the introduction. I told you that for introduction, it should be like general to sum up, and then you can actually put in the current trends of the research. So you will see that for the introduction here, we put this one is actually made by or produced by your own group. It's not reproduced from other publication. So we just want to show the overall picture of the review. So you can see that the overall is we want to say that how we go produce cellulose and microcrystal cellulose from different types of plant, and then where it can be applied. Application mostly for biocomposite films, biodegradable plastic, and whatsoever. And then for the right art part, you will see that there's a trend. Illustration that shows the projection publication related to these specific keywords like microcrystal cellulose. If you actually have your own specific material or your own specific subjects, you can actually try to search the trend of publication in different years, and you will see. You'll see that there's a demand or something like that. Then with this information, I think the editor will think, or the reader will think that the area itself, is very much important. So therefore, the review should be produced. Right. So this is the one that I told you how to get a permission from a publisher. So for example, that you are talking about getting reproduce figures from Elsevier. So as I told you, Elsevier, Springer, and other publishers, they have their own permission request form. Okay. So the permission request form, you can fill it online, and it's very simple, very easy. And normally, if you ask me, it will take like 1 or 2 weeks to get permission. Okay. And although maybe some figures coming from your own group, for example, from your past publication, you still need a permission from the publisher. But most of the time, the publisher will tell you that, since you are the author, then there will be no charge or whatsoever. Okay. So what will be the additional things that you will see over here is that, for example, these figures is the one that we use in our review article. You will see that at this line here below, reprinted with permission from Miyoshiro et al. 2020 as distributed by Creative Commons License CC BY license from MDPI publisher. So meaning that we already obtained permission from MDPI to reproduce these figures into our review article. All right. So this, I think, write-up should be appear in your figure caption. Published with permission or something like that. So this is also one of the examples of the summarized table. So as I said, most of the time for review article, the summarized table is constructed by the author themselves, not actually taken elsewhere. So over here, you will see like this table. I actually compare different process. We have a chemical process, we have a physical process. So we actually show or summarize what would be the advantages and be the disadvantages of different process. And this information actually very much useful to the reader. This is the one that they want to see. They want to actually see the comparison. Okay, and here is where your review article is actually valued. Okay, and some other things will be related on comparing the properties. For example, like this table, we compare the gel permeation analysis, the molecular size difference for microcrystal cellulose, for example, okay, and some other things like thermal properties and whatnot. So this also will give you some, or the reader some insight, okay, what will be the range or the optimized condition that people always get whenever they work on that particular material, okay. So common issues with response to reviewers' comment. Okay, whenever you have submitted the review article, you will receive like reply or response to reviewer. Okay, so some of the common issues will be related on ethical issue, self-citation. Okay, so I would like to clarify a bit about self-citation. If let's say that you cite your own work, for example, that it is actually related and to be included in your review article, actually to my own, I think, opinion, it is not wrong. But what is ethically wrong is that when you actually cite your own group publication, but the area is not even related at all. So that is entirely wrong. Okay, right. So another issues will be related on conflict of interest. Okay, conflict of interest. If let's say that the reviewer is actually a rival to your group or whatsoever, then there will be a problem whereby they will condemn or whatsoever. Okay, and then some other issues will be related on different reviewers assigned for revision 1. Okay, sometimes this thing happen in some journals whereby you already addressed the comments from the first revision, but when you resubmit, okay, you will notice that the comments, additional comment is actually totally different, maybe from a different reviewer. Finally, I think common issues from reviewers' comment is grammatical error, because we are non-native speaker as a Malaysian, okay? And if our reviewer is actually coming from native speaking countries like US, UK, Australia, whatsoever, so they will give this kind of reason to reject or whatsoever. But these days, I told you, is world of technologies. So you have different types of software. I think during my time, there's no like Grammarly or whatsoever. You cannot check the grammars or whatsoever. So I think now there's AIs or whatsoever that can actually assist you in terms of writing or whatsoever. Okay, so what you need, I mean, in order to write a review articles, you will need, some tools. For example, like Turnitin, of course, to do a plagiarism check. Okay, mainly an endnotes to ensure that the referencing is consistent. So you also need a notebook, okay, to actually draft the content or whatsoever. So in the end of the day, you'll see that your draft is actually sensible. Okay, related articles, hopefully the most recent one, 3 or 5 years recent. And then for scientists, sometimes you'll need like tools that will help you in order to draw the structures or to draw the graph. Origin, torque spin, or ACD lab is actually for NMR chromatography, spectroscopy, or whatsoever. Okay, ChemDraw, ChemSketch to sketch chemical structures if you are actually from chemistry background, pharmacy, or whatsoever. And then also you need, of course, laptop or also PC. So after you have write your review article, it is good actually you do some proofread. So you double check, you can send to your supervisor, you can send to some other groups or whatsoever to just check the flow or the content, whether some other things is consistently been used throughout. And then I think if the citation is a match or whatsoever. I think the most problem things whenever working with review article is that you have a lot of references. Sometimes you will, I think, misplace the references. It's always happened because you have a lot. So sometimes maybe it's not being captured or whatsoever. So please make sure that you do proofreading, double check first, okay, before you submit. Okay. So when you do the submission, of course, I think follow the guidelines. Okay, make sure that you follow everything in order as mentioned by the journals. And then most importantly, the article should not be submitted to more than one journal at a time. Okay, remember, submitting article is not like applying jobs. Applying jobs, you can apply multiple companies, but for article submission, you can only submit only at one journals, okay, per once. So the issue is that whenever I think if you are not patient, maybe that journal didn't respond you or whatsoever, you didn't withdraw, you didn't send a withdrawal articles or whatsoever, you just straight away submit to another journal or whatsoever. Imagine if both actually accepted and published. That's why you'll see that some issues regarding on retraction of articles. Retraction of articles to, I think, ethical issues, because probably they I mean, the similar article review or journals. At one, so if a court, I mean, like facing litigation by the publisher, because before you submit, they will always ask you. There was like an agreement that you have to agree that the article have not been sent to any journal or not considered at any journal. Okay, but if you actually overrule the agreement, then you know that legal action will wait for you. Okay, right. So These days, I think submission is done online through EVICE for Elsevier. I think EES is the old system. Okay, and most of the journals also use Caller One. I think a portal. Okay, and the article submitted online will be reviewed online as well. So it is not like those days. I think maybe those days during my professors, I think supervisors' time in 70s, in 80s, they actually want to submit the article. They have to use mailing. They have to mail the editor, and will take like years or months to get them reply. So these days very fast via online. Okay, so it will speed up the process of reviewing, but sometimes in some countries that will have problems with internet connection, this will be an issue. So the best actually, if I mean like some authors is actually coming from low income countries that have a problem in terms of internet access, then you can collaborate with another person from another countries that have ease of internet access, then everything can be done easily through online. Okay, so after you do a submission, I think like these days, you can actually follow up the submission. You can check the status. For example, like this one, you'll see that the current status is with editor, and then you can also check the history. I mean, like of your article submitted. Maybe it's already like sent under review or whatsoever. Okay, so this day is much more easier for you to to follow up the status. If let's say that you want to withdraw or you want to follow up, there's I think a button somewhere here that you can send email. Okay, so the email will be sent directly to the editor. Okay, through the system. Okay, you have to log in through your account. Okay, and then it will actually request what I mean like the intention, the queries that you want. Then you can actually write about your intention to follow up the status and whatsoever. So if your article is actually rejected, okay, so you should ask yourself, okay, was it actually sent out for review? If it is not, then consider to change the format and then send to another journal. If actually it is actually rejected with a comment, so you can actually refer to the comment, do the revision, improvise the content, and then later send it again for submission. Right. So if your paper is rejected, sometimes you can actually appeal. You can appeal to the editor. Okay, you can ask or whatsoever. I think sometimes in some other countries, I mean like European or maybe American, I think the editor is actually among their colleagues or whatsoever. So they actually call, I mean like, and argue why their article is actually being rejected, something like that. So basically, you can appeal. I have one experience whereby one of our submission is actually rejected. But when we check through the comment, it is not the comment that addressing our article. It is addressing a different article. Then we wrote to the editor saying that the comments, we provide the proof and whatsoever. Then the editor say that, oh, okay, maybe there's some mistake in the reviewing process or whatsoever. Then they ask us to resubmit again the articles because if it is actually rejected, you cannot revert the decision or whatsoever. So you can appeal, but this time they said that they will actually pass through the initial process and it will immediately be reviewed. And I think after a few weeks after that, it is actually accepted. So don't ever think that once rejected, you don't have any hope. So you still can appeal to the editor, provided with some justification and whatnot. Right. So I'm almost at the end of my presentation. I'm going to ask any question later on, but later on, I will actually see the question. But I always actually share this. Yeah, review. Okay. Okay, so it also will maybe will give you some future. I mean, like understanding that whatever you will achieve in the future, basically, it actually depends on what you have done now. So always remember that life is a journey. It is not where you end up, but it is how you got there. Okay. And finally, by Nikola Tesla, to know each other, we must reach beyond the sphere of our sense perception. I think most of the time, researchers these days, they always love to work in silos. They didn't reach out to another group or whatsoever. So similarly, when you want to write review article or whatsoever, so you can actually reach out with a few groups from overseas or whatsoever. You might have a common interest, and then you can actually work together. So review article is one of the best medium to work together. I mean, like between one group to another group. Okay, so I think before I end my presentation, I mean, like if you allow me to just talk in a few minutes, just 1 or 2 minutes about stress. I mean, like this is out of the topic, but I think as a student, as a postgraduate student, you always have I think, a pressure. I mean, from your supervisor to write articles, and sometimes maybe after listening to this, your supervisor immediately texts you, please, Ali, please draft a review article because you already joined Dr. Hazwan's talk today, so you should have some insight or whatever. Then you have a lot of stress. Okay, but I have to tell you that for students, you have to consider. Okay, I've been a student before, so I know how stressful. I mean, like when you actually become a postgraduate, you want to graduate or whatsoever. So the most important things that you should highlight over here is that uh, in three people, and there will be one person that will experience mental health or mental problems. Okay, so always related to stress and whatsoever. So it is always true. So sometimes I think workplace is considered number one cause of life stress. If you ask me as a lecturer also, I would say that working in university is also stressful. Everywhere. I mean, like workplace will be the number one stressful cause for this problem. So as a student, of course, being in university, being in a lab, being in a research facility, it's always stressful because you always wanted to finish soon and whatsoever, and then you argue with supervisor and whatsoever, then always creating stress. But how actually you should manage your stress? Okay, so as a human being, okay, there's a few ways how you can actually manage your stress. I think I enjoy during my postgraduate times. I think during the free time, after 6, after 5 or whatsoever, I will go out jogging, I will go out playing badminton or whatsoever. This because after you work, you have some excessive energy and stress that you need to leave. You need to leave it behind. So by doing some sports, actually you will maybe release the stress. Okay, but don't do it too much because otherwise maybe you will have some problem. Those who are not really familiar, those who are not really sportive, then you start to have palpitation, you will start to have anxiety and whatsoever. So just do whatever sports that whatever you can. But if you are not kind of sport people, you can do some other things like even you see myself, I'm wearing sarung. I mean, like I'm going fishing because like men, I don't know for women, but for men, normally if you go for fishing, everything in your head will be blank. You always aim for something because when you're fishing, you always aim to get fish. You don't think about publishing papers or whatsoever. Okay, you always think how to get fish, something like that. Okay, so other I think modes you can do yoga, you can do play with pet or whatsoever. So this part of the things to manage the stress. So to end my presentation today, I would like to acknowledge my department, School of Chemical Sciences, and I also really appreciate the efforts done by IPS today. Invitation by Associate Professor Dr. Teh Guan Seng and also Ms. Azulia, who is and also collaborators and also students, and finally to my family. So with that, I end my sharing session today, and I'm happy to answer any of questions. So I think maybe I'll start to look at the questions from the chat. I think maybe there's a lot of questions over here. But if you want to ask me directly, you are free to do so. I'm happy to do that as well. We still have time before 12. So I think let me just read one question over here from Dr. Shihab. What about survey paper? In which type can be considered? Okay, survey. So survey, I think maybe I understand that you are doing, you are collecting some response, I mean like questionnaire or whatsoever. But I think what you can narrow down, this is just a suggestion because I'm not really expert in this field, but what I can suggest is that you might think that there will be different tools of people getting information through survey. Of course, I mean, in the end of the day, information is still the same, but they will use a different modes. Maybe they use a paper, or maybe they use a Google form or whatsoever. So you might have some data. I mean, like how much findings that people have done and whatsoever. Then you would like to compare or something like that. I don't know whether this actually totally answer it, but not. But probably if you want to, I mean, your research is probably related on, or the data for your own research is basically on survey. So you can actually either do a review how people actually assess, how the assessment has been done, something like that. So this could be interesting as well. So because maybe some people, they are doing using a traditional way, or some actually use the technology or whatsoever. Okay, and then some other questions. Okay, no discussion. I think I've answered this. Okay. From Nur Maizatu Azra, as a postgraduate student, when you write the review paper, it will help a lot for the chapter 2. This is right, inshallah. Okay, very good. Yes. So don't think, I think differently when you write a review article. As I mentioned, when you write a review article, it will help you for your thesis in the end of the day. At least your chapter 2, rest assured that you already have the content. Okay, right. So is it a systematic review? Okay, so for review, you will have a systematic review or whatsoever. It actually depends on you. I mean, like whether you want to write a systematic review or not. Okay, but most of the time you'll see that the review will be a systematic review because it actually consider a specific I think area, and then you will have a very specific types of analysis or things that you want to discuss. Okay, alright. Izin laluan bagi pertanyaan. I think this one. Is it possible to use Malay or Japanese or Russian language to write a review article and get highly cited? Okay, all right. Yes. So this is a very interesting question. All right. Language is basically the mode of I think deliverance. I think yeah, you can actually write Malay, Japanese, or Russian or whatsoever. But in the end of the day, you might have an issue. Where does this review article will be published? If let's say that the review article will be published in the journals, which the audience is mostly, I mean, like from this speaking language community, then probably you will have some citation. For example, if you write it in Russian and you publish in the Russian journal or whatsoever, then probably you might expect that the citation could be coming from this community only. Okay, but if let's say that you want to broaden, maybe you can consider of writing a review that using a language that everyone understand or understood. So this actually will give a more chance to get high citation and whatsoever. So I hope it answers your question. Okay. So, all right. So there's also one question here. Just want to confirm what you have said. Author 1 will write about the subject. Author 2 will write application. How about author 2? Okay, someone answered. Thank you, Hanif. I mentioned that first author will write about fundamental, second application, and third application, something like that. Okay, can clarify too. I don't understand what is meant by clarify too. Okay, can we have the presentation slides later? Okay. Right. And then another question by Ahmad Muhammad Habibu. Please differentiate between systematic and thematic review. Okay. All right. So systematic and thematic review, actually, the easiest way how you want to understand it is that thematic, you have a topic, but it's general, very general. Maybe if I talk about science, okay, so it's the theme is actually science, but it's very general, okay. So thematic review is something like that, okay. Systematic, at one point, you actually very much specific, or the scope is very niche, okay, because you have the flow, how you actually want to clarify the subjects, something like that. For example, we are not talking about science, but I think maybe for this systematic review, I will talk about maybe carbon nanotubes, for example. It's very specific, and carbon nanotube will have a specific tools to maybe to be produced, to be characterized, or whatsoever. Then this will be, I mean, the review that we are going to produce later on will be a systematic review, something like that. That's the easiest way how you can actually differentiate between the systematic and also the thematic review, right? Okay. What if there's no fish? If there's no fish, then you will stress. Okay. So it's, at the end of the day, it's never-ending things. I mean, like stress is never-ending things, but it's actually not really related with a review article. Okay, so by Vinay Madupe, okay, how did you get the data used to plot the chart for the publication trend? In the introduction, you should. Okay, this is very simple. The chart or the graph is actually plotted using origin. Okay, so what I did was, I told you that I actually obtained the data. I mean, I found out the numbers of publication with these specific keywords. I type in microcrystal cellulose. You can do it, I mean, like using Google Scholar or Scopus. I think the best, the one that I did is using Scopus. So using Scopus, you can type in the keywords, and then it will show you all the publication, and you will see different years. Okay, so from there, I get the information, I jot down the values and whatsoever from different years, and then after that, I plot it using origin. So it will produce this kind of graph, whatsoever. So you are free to use any different software in order to construct the statistic or whatsoever. Okay, review article is systematic. Yes, I think I have answered this. Okay, sometimes preparing the data for review article is easy, but on how to critically analyze and relate them is not easy. Okay, so any tips? Yeah, this is actually true. Whenever you want to, I mean, like produce a review articles, it's easy for you to get all the informations, but it is actually difficult how actually you want to discuss or you want to compare between each other. So I think most of the review article, they love to do comparative studies. They've actually obtained all the information from different journals or whatsoever. They want to compare. So similarly, what you can do, I think I've shown some examples over there. You can actually construct some tables, which will be useful. You can point it out what will be the findings from different groups or different papers or whatsoever. And then from there, collectively, you have a different, I think, findings from different researchers, which in the end of the day, there will be a difference in terms of like how they analyze how the data that they obtain or whatsoever. So as I said, I think with the help of like comparative tables or something like that, it will actually help you to maybe at least summarize what they have. I mean, the previous result have obtained or whatsoever. Okay, so it's completely a bad idea not to include figures from the original articles, but just the summary of methods of, the methods and also results. Yes, I think I told you it is interesting if you put figures. I mean, you can reproduce the figures, but you can, I mean, like every time you have like different articles, you cannot cite them all. I think you have to do selectively. I mean, like you should put whichever figures that you think it is interesting to be put. Imagine if you have like 300 references and you want to put all 300 images. Completely, I think, difficult to do. But I think in the end of the day, not to say a bad idea, it's good you can actually put the figures. Like in my case, I also put like figures from others. I reproduce the figures from others, but I selectively choose which one that I think is important to be put in the, or to be appear in the review articles. So with a table of summary, is actually you can put as much as information it can. You cannot actually put figures, everything inside, but with tables you can put all the information, all the findings you can summarize. Okay, all right. So which database you recommend we search for articles for our review? Database, what do you mean by database? Okay, of course, I don't know, because we are actually, I mean, like myself, as I mentioned, we are coming from science background. So the best tools, normally I obtain the articles or whatsoever, related articles. It's just using a simple database access that we have, Science Direct. Okay, so anything like any keywords that, I mean, like related to the matter of review that I wanted to write, I will put in here, and then all the related publication will be appear. So I will choose which one is actually related. Okay, I have a question regarding a self-citation. Is it fine if the author's article is relevant to the review article? Yeah, this is also the things that I have actually taught. If it is actually related, there's no harm to put. But if let's say that it is from the author's previous article, but it is not related at all, then this is ethically wrong. Because somehow, maybe some of the research topic that you are venturing for the review article is completely new. Not many articles are done, and probably your group is pioneering, right? Pioneering the work. You have a past publication or something like that. So it's actually okay to actually include the previous work from your own group. But again, as I said, the related one, the non-related one, you just discard it. Okay. Okay, so okay, the two refers to the conflict of interest, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Oh, this one, common issues related on the comments from response to reviewer. Okay, so conflict of interest is very very difficult to explain, but it's actually related if, let's say, that the reviewer have some issues with the author. This is actually the best way how I can explain it. Issues, it can be like a competitor. I've told you, it can be a competitor, rival, or maybe sometimes it can be from the same group as well. I mean, like without editor aware about it, maybe it's one of the co-authors who actually review it. So this also another issues related on, I mean, like conflict of interest. So anything that deals with, I mean, between the reviewer and also any issues that relate between the reviewer, personal issues, I would say personal issues between the reviewers and also the authors, is actually conflict of interest. At the same time, maybe the same institution, the same lab is also another thing, and same agency can be considered having a conflict of interest or something like that. Okay, is there any AI checking? Okay, is there limiting regarding? I think these days you can use Microsoft Copilot, you can use ChatGPT or whatsoever to help you to I mean, like, to check on the content that you have done or whatsoever. I mean, as I said, use AI wisely. After you have draft it, actually AI can help you to refine the language or whatsoever. This actually the benefits of using AIs. But as I said again, don't misuse AI lah. Okay. By Wan Muhammad Fahmi regarding reproduce a figure, if we already get the permission, we can take the 100% same figure, or we must change based on our understanding. You can take 100% as it is after you get the permission. So you can copy exactly the figures. But I think the most common issues later on by the publisher, after your review have been published, is that the quality of the image that you basically provide, because the resources that you have is not a high quality image. So you just take from the journals, then later on you will reproduce in the review, then they will ask high quality images or something like that. Then this will be the future issues that you will face later on. Okay, all right. So I think that's most of the comments from, I mean, like questions from the chat box. Maybe before I end the session, if there's any other question, what is the normal time? Okay, ada lagi masuk. Okay, what is the normal time for review paper? Maybe Dafi, you can clarify me a bit. Normal time for, is it for reviewing review articles or to prepare review articles? What is the exact question here? If say that you are talking about the normal time to prepare, okay, well, right. So to prepare a review article, sometimes it's actually depends. If let's say that you are working in a team, if I would share my own experience, the review articles that I published in that particular year was planned a year before. So you can actually understand how long does it take. I mean, like, to prepare, normally I think like myself, we put like around 6 months, something like that. So everyone actually will have an ample time to prepare their own parts, and then after that we have ample time to combine, to merge everything, to synchronize everything before we do the submission. And to review, normally it will take another month. I mean, like a few months or whatsoever. But as I said, for review articles, the duration to review will be faster as compared to research article. Okay, because the review article is quite straightforward. Most of the comment is very much general. They will ask you about the flow or whatsoever, to add in some things, or maybe to elaborate more or something like that. Then you will get a response within like 1 or 2 months after submission. Okay, by best, maybe after 3 months or what, then you will receive acceptance or whatsoever. Okay. Sorry, doctors. Sometimes preparing the data for review paper is easy, but difficult. Any tips? Did not hear this answer. Alamak. I already answered this. Okay, but actually, the simplest answer that I can get, because you already have the data, you want to analyze the different data or different findings from different papers or whatsoever. The best is actually you can construct some summarized table or whatsoever. This will help you. So after you construct the tables, you can list down their findings, and in the end of the day, the readers will actually spot what will be the difference, and you can actually tell in your review articles what is actually the advantages and disadvantages, something like that. Okay, so of course, getting the resources is easy, you can get it, but once you have a lot of information and whatsoever, how you can actually process it. So the best, as I said, for review article, you can make a summarized table. Okay, all right. So any other questions? Yes. Ah, is there a difference? Is there a difference in APC? Okay, all right. So whenever you publish articles, sometimes don't be mistaken by the words goal access and also APC. APC is article publication charge. Okay. Um, some journals actually impose 100% APCs. Okay. So this actually will ensure open access or closed access or whatsoever. Okay. But for gold access, sometimes you still can publish your work, okay, using subscription, okay, via subscription. But gold access here, it means that you pay some amount, but your article will be appear soon. Let's say that it has been accepted today, and when you actually agree to pay the gold access, this will take around a few hours for your article to be appear exactly in the templates of the journals and appear online. So this actually meant by gold access. But if you have options not to pay, so go for it. But if you have I mean, if the journal is completely imposed APCs, then you can consider, I mean, financially, whether you have the capability to pay the APCs or not. Okay. All right. Some other question, if I actually miss out. How many pages are appropriate for review paper in general? Wow, I cannot tell, but normally, on average, for review articles, there's no limitation on the number of pages. But I would the moderate page or experience. So there's no minimum or whatsoever. But of course, as I said, if you have more references, you will have more pages, and at the same time, I think more references can tell the editor that I mean the review have been done in detail, or I think very comprehensively. Okay. The comparison table you just shown, any minimum or maximum? No, there's no minimum or maximum. You can actually have a very long, lengthy, but remember what would be the scope of your summarized table. If let's say that your, I mean, like, for example, some examples that I've showed just now, I make a summarized table which I compare chemical process and also physical process. So you only have these two types. And for chemical process, of course, you have a different kinds of chemicals used. So yeah, I mean, like, but at least the limitation is there's some parameters that you it is actually limited, something like that. Okay. Right. I hope I answer it, Ong, because you asked it again. Maybe you have some internet connection. But definitely again, we need another maybe advanced workshop in this topic about managing stress. Oh, you are very much interested. So I think maybe for RPS is mostly related on competency, but yeah, maybe. Who knows, maybe I will conduct a workshop on how to manage stress, but I'm not the best person because I'm actually a chemist by trade. I'm not like psychologist or whatsoever. But of course, you know your body the best. I think if you know that you are tired, if you know you are stressed, take some leave, go out and see nature, and just refresh your mind a bit, reset, and then after that, come back fresh, continue the process. So that's how I did. I mean, otherwise you cannot like, I mean, we are not robots and we have emotions and we cannot work under stress. I think robot can work under stress, but for us, no. So for you, although I mean, like writing review articles is very much stressful, but I believe maybe with some ability to manage stress or whatsoever, you can actually still write the articles. I mean, like review article and whatsoever. Okay, so it's already like 12 p.m. So thank you very much to all attendees today. I hope that whatever I have presented today is very much meaningful to you guys to help you to write a review article. But of course, the perspectives of writing review article is not only to get highly cited, but of course, to ensure that you really understand what your subject is mainly about. Okay, so in the end of the day, I think a review article is very much important as a guide or as a reference, important reference for you to help your research. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you very much to IPS as well for conducting this workshop. And I hope that I'll be able to meet you again. So if you have any personal matters related on the writing articles or whatsoever, you are free to write to me through my email, mhh@usm.my. So I'm happy to answer any concerns or whatsoever. So with that, thank you very much. Have a good Friday and have a good weekend to everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Selamat berbuka.